There comes a moment in life when presence is no longer enough, when your silence speaks louder than your words, and your absence carries more weight than your presence ever did. That moment is the day you walk away. It's not just about leaving physically, it's about reclaiming your energy, your power, and your worth, and in that very moment, something shifts. The things that were once ignored suddenly become clear, the value that was overlooked becomes undeniable, and the comfort that was taken for granted becomes deeply missed. Walking away is not weakness, it's strength. It's the moment that forces realization in ways nothing else could. Walking away is not the end, it's a beginning. It's the doorway to recognition, to transformation, and to respect that may never have come otherwise. When you step away, you ignite the most powerful kind of realization, the truth that your presence was never ordinary, it was extraordinary, and sometimes the only way to prove that truth is to walk away. When you choose to walk away, something profound happens. Your absence immediately transforms into a powerful form of presence. It's a paradox that most people only understand when they experience it firsthand. While you were there, your energy filled the space, your voice carried through the silence, and your actions, whether small or significant, created a rhythm that others became accustomed to. They may not have acknowledged it while it was happening, because consistency has a way of blending into the background, but the moment you're gone, the void left behind becomes impossible to ignore. That void is not emptiness, it is a living reminder of your significance. Absence has a weight that presence often doesn't. When you're gone, every little thing you used to do takes on new meaning. The laughter you brought into the room, the calm you created in moments of chaos, the way you made situations lighter, or even the energy you brought just by existing in that space, all of these qualities suddenly rise to the surface. They're no longer overlooked because now they're missing, and that absence becomes a mirror, forcing the other person to reflect on what they once had and didn't fully appreciate. What makes absence so powerful is that it doesn't just create space, it creates awareness. When you walk away, the silence speaks volumes. That silence says, I was here, I mattered, and without me, this doesn't feel the same. It demands recognition in a way that your presence, oddly enough, couldn't always achieve. Because while you were there, they could escape into distraction, routine, or the comfort of assuming you'd always remain. But when you remove yourself, you remove their excuses too. Suddenly, they are confronted with the truth. Your role wasn't replaceable, your energy wasn't ordinary, and your presence wasn't just background noise. It was foundational. This is the moment realization takes root. The absence you create becomes a teacher, delivering lessons that no amount of words or explanations could. You may have spoken about your value, you may have reminded them of what you bring, but words can be brushed aside. Actions, especially the action of walking away, carry an authority that no speech can replicate. It's in the space left behind that understanding grows. And as they sit with that emptiness, as they notice what's no longer there, they begin to feel the undeniable truth. You mattered more than they ever admitted, and without you, things don't feel whole. That's why walking away is not just an act of departure. It's an act of presence at its highest level. It shifts the dynamic entirely. The space you leave doesn't just remind them of you. It surrounds them with the reality of how much you influenced their life. Your absence becomes louder than your words, stronger than your actions, and more unforgettable than any moment you shared. And in that silence, in that undeniable presence of absence, realization finally begins to unfold. When what you do becomes so consistent, so natural, it often fades into the background. The little things you provide, the stability, the support, the gestures of care become almost invisible because they blend seamlessly into daily life. People begin to take them for granted, assuming they'll always be there, but the moment you walk away, something shifts dramatically. What was once invisible suddenly becomes visible. The actions and presence that were overlooked rise to the surface like bright lights in the dark, impossible to ignore. It's not until someone loses the rhythm you created that they realize you were the one holding it all together. The conversations you initiated, the encouragement you gave, the way you made sure things flowed smoothly, all of these contributions become magnified in absence. The phone no longer buzzes with your check-ins. The energy in the room doesn't feel as warm. The quiet moments aren't filled with the same comfort. The small, seemingly insignificant details that went unnoticed before now scream with meaning because they are gone. And it's in that loss that awareness blooms. There is a deep truth about human nature. We don't always recognize the value of something while it's in front of us. Familiarity has a way of dulling appreciation. But when you walk away, familiarity is shattered, the reality of life without your contributions sets in, and that reality is stark. Suddenly, the invisible threads you wove every day, threads of connection, of love, of support, are missing. And without those threads, everything feels fragile. The person left behind begins to see the tapestry you were creating all along, but only now, in your absence, do they realize you were the one weaving it. What was once routine now feels extraordinary. The coffee you made, the way you remembered small details, the patience you carried during hard times, these aren't just small actions anymore. They're revelations of your importance. What seemed ordinary before takes on a new, profound significance, because without you, there's a void no one else can fill in the same way. And this recognition is often painful because it reveals how much was missed when there was still time to cherish it. Your walking away doesn't just highlight your worth. It exposes the blindness of those who didn't see it before. It becomes a turning point where clarity arrives, not gently but sharply. It's like removing a mask that hid the truth for too long. The overlooked becomes unforgettable, the invisible becomes undeniable, and the realization strikes with full force. Your presence was never small, it was monumental. It simply took your absence to reveal the depth of it. When you walk away, the world of the other person doesn't just lose your presence, it loses its balance. Your energy was an anchor, a stabilizer, something that grounded the chaos and gave direction to the uncertain. While you were there, they may not have seen it clearly, because stability has a way of blending into the background, much like a foundation beneath a house. You don't think about the foundation when you're standing on it every day. But remove it, and suddenly everything shakes. That's what your absence does. It disrupts the equilibrium, leaving them face to face with the instability they never realized you kept under control. The power of your presence wasn't only in what you said or did. It was in what you prevented. You prevented loneliness from feeling too heavy. You prevented doubt from spiraling out of control. You prevented silence from becoming unbearable. And now, without you, they are forced to feel the full weight of those things. Life feels louder, emptier, and harsher because the balance you once provided has vanished. The structure they leaned on so effortlessly is gone. And with that disappearance comes a reckoning they can't escape. People often don't realize how much stability another person brings until it's missing. It's like walking into a room that was always filled with light, never questioning where the brightness came from, until one day the light switch doesn't work. Suddenly, you're left in the dark, fumbling, struggling, wishing for what was once taken for granted. Your walking away flips that switch off. It plunges them into a reality that reveals just how much steadiness you gave. They didn't notice because it felt natural, but the absence exposes the truth in ways presence never could. And here's where the deeper realization kicks in. Without you, they begin to notice their own shortcomings more clearly. They feel the chaos they can't control, the doubts they can't silence, the loneliness they can't outrun. It's not that you completed them, you didn't, but your energy brought out a version of life that was steadier, more hopeful, more grounded. Now, stripped of that, they come face to face with themselves in a way they may not like. The mirror you held up by being present is gone, and the reflection staring back at them isn't nearly as strong or composed. Walking away isn't just a departure, it's a recalibration. It shifts the dynamic entirely, showing them that what they thought was just normal life was, in fact, life with you holding it together. And when that balance collapses, they can't deny the truth anymore. You were not just a piece of their world, you were the axis it quietly spun on. And without you, it all starts to wobble, reminding them in the harshest way that your presence was never optional. It was essential. When you walk away, something profound happens. They are confronted with silence, and silence is not empty. Silence is loud. It speaks in echoes of what used to be there, and it forces someone to listen to what they've ignored for far too long. While you were present, the sound of your laughter, your words, your energy filled the spaces around them. It created a rhythm, a melody that blended into their life, but when that music stops, the quiet becomes unbearable. It is in that quiet that realization begins to gnaw at them, because now they feel the absence of what once kept their days alive. Silence is powerful because it removes distractions. As long as you were there, even in subtle ways, you provided noise that cushioned them from facing themselves. Your presence was a comfort zone, something that made even the dullest days feel full. But when you walk away, the silence strips everything bare. It forces reflection. It makes them replay moments they didn't value enough, conversations they didn't pay attention to, and opportunities they let slip by. The mind doesn't forget easily, and in silence the mind becomes a relentless narrator reminding them of what they no longer have. Think about how silence works. It amplifies memory. It takes a simple image or word and turns it into a loop that won't stop playing. That's what your absence does. It forces them to relive the warmth they once received, the guidance you once gave, the love you once poured in. And the more they replay it, the heavier the loss feels. What was once background noise now becomes the soundtrack of regret. Every small thing they once overlooked becomes massive, haunting them in the quiet moments when there is nothing to distract them. Silence also exposes gaps. It shows them where they leaned on you the most. The unanswered messages, the lack of your voice in the room, the missing comfort in difficult times. It all adds up. What once felt secure now feels fragile. What once felt guaranteed now feels uncertain, and the silence magnifies that uncertainty, turning it into a lesson they can't escape. Your presence wasn't just nice to have, it was essential. It was the glue holding together parts of their world they never thought could crack. Walking away is not just about absence, it's about the mirror silence holds up. It reveals the void. It reveals their dependence on what they didn't fully appreciate. And most importantly, it reveals the truth they avoided confronting, that your presence mattered more than they were willing to admit. Silence is unforgiving in that way. It doesn't lie. It doesn't soften. It simply reflects what is missing, and in doing so, it makes them realize the depth of what they lost the moment you decided to walk away. When you walk away, the true weight of memories begins to press down. While you were present, those moments were lived, but not always cherished. They might have felt ordinary, routine, or even expected. But in your absence, those same moments transform into treasures, each one replayed with a sense of longing and regret. That casual conversation they half listened to suddenly feels like gold. That laugh they barely acknowledged now echoes in their mind like a melody they can't get out of their head. Your presence turns into their past, and that past becomes the most vivid reminder of what they no longer have. Memories have a unique power. They grow stronger when someone is gone. While you were near, they didn't have to hold on to every detail because you were always around to create more. But the day you walk away, there are no new memories being made. That is when the mind starts clinging to the old ones, magnifying them, replaying them, cherishing them in ways it never did before. The same words, the same gestures, the same glances suddenly feel irreplaceable. What was once dismissed as just another day becomes the very thing they long to relive. Your absence forces them to become students of the past. They analyze your words. They think about your tone. They revisit moments they once brushed off and realize how much meaning was hidden within them. And with each memory comes a sharper realization. They did not value you enough when they had the chance. They did not stop to truly soak in the gift of your presence because they assumed it would always be there. But memories, unlike reality, don't change. They remain frozen in time, and that frozen image becomes both a comfort and a torment. And it is in this torment that the lesson strikes hardest, because now they understand that memories cannot fill the void. They can replay your laugh 1,000 times in their head, but it doesn't echo the same way it did in person. They can recall the warmth of your smile, but it doesn't light up the room the way it once did. They can hear your words in their thoughts, but it doesn't give them the same reassurance as when you actually said them. Memories serve as shadows, constant reminders of what once was, but never replacements for the real thing. This is why walking away becomes such a powerful act. It teaches them through contrast. They see what life feels like without you, and suddenly, even the smallest moments become monumental in hindsight. It's the coffee shared on a rainy morning, the quiet presence during a tough day, the unspoken understanding in your eyes, things they thought were ordinary now magnified as extraordinary. And no matter how hard they try, they cannot escape this truth. They only began to treasure the memories after you stopped creating them together. That realization hits deeper than anything else, and it stays with them long after you're gone. When you walk away, the most powerful realization strikes. They finally see the strength you carried all along. While you were there, they may have mistaken your presence as something ordinary, something guaranteed. They may have overlooked the resilience it took for you to stay, the patience it took to give, the quiet sacrifices you made to hold things together. But the day you leave is the day all of that becomes undeniable. Your absence becomes the spotlight that illuminates the truth. You were the steady force, the anchor, the balance that kept everything aligned, and without you, that balance collapses, forcing them to confront what they failed to honor. Strength is rarely loud when it's consistent. It doesn't always roar, often it's quiet. It's in the way you kept showing up, even when you were tired. It's in the way you extended grace when frustration was deserved. It's in the way you offered love even in moments of indifference. While you were present, these acts of strength blended into the background, unnoticed because they happened daily. But when you're gone, those same acts stand out with sharp clarity. Suddenly, they realize how much weight you carried that they never even acknowledged. Your departure forces them to see the truth of who you are, not just someone who filled a role, but someone who carried power. Power in your presence. Power in your ability to uplift, to heal, to inspire, and that power is never truly understood until it's removed. When you walk away, they feel the gap not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually. They begin to understand that the strength they leaned on wasn't just support, it was a foundation, and without that foundation, everything feels unstable, uncertain, fragile. The irony is that your strength was most visible in your silence, in your patience, in the way you held things together without demanding recognition. But strength doesn't vanish when unacknowledged, it builds. And when you finally decide to walk away, that strength becomes undeniable. They see it not because you speak it, but because they feel the void it leaves behind. They begin to grasp that your decision to leave wasn't weakness. It was the ultimate expression of strength, choosing yourself, choosing peace, choosing to no longer carry what was never valued. This realization shifts everything. They start to see you not as someone who is simply there, but as someone who is extraordinary in ways they never took the time to recognize. Your departure forces them to confront their own shortcomings, their own dependence, their own blindness to what you brought to the table. And perhaps the deepest pain they feel isn't just the loss of your presence. It's the awakening to the truth that they never honored your strength until it was too late. That awareness stays with them, a lasting reminder of the day you walked away and showed them what true strength looks like. The truth is, the day you walk away is not just a moment of separation. It is a turning point. It is the moment when everything they took for granted begins to shine with clarity, when every word unspoken and every effort unrecognized finally makes sense. Your absence does not create emptiness out of nothing. It exposes the emptiness that was already there, hidden beneath routine and familiarity, and in that sudden exposure, they are forced to confront the reality of what your presence truly meant. Walking away becomes the mirror they never wanted to look into but can no longer avoid. As they sit in the silence you leave behind, their thoughts no longer move forward. They circle back, over and over again, to the moments they once overlooked. The conversations they didn't engage in, the gestures they barely noticed, the laughter they didn't hold onto, those are the things that haunt them now. What was once considered ordinary transforms into extraordinary in the light of your absence. And the weight of regret begins to grow heavier because they realize too late that the value of your presence was never small, it was immeasurable. But in this pain, something else is revealed, your strength. Your ability to walk away is not weakness, it is power. It shows that you are not defined by the validation of another, but by the clarity of your own worth. By leaving, you make visible the very truth they ignored. You were not dependent, you were vital. And the courage it takes to remove yourself from a place where you are not honored demonstrates a strength that echoes louder than words ever could. This is where they finally begin to see you not just as someone they miss, but as someone who was powerful all along. The day you walk away is also the day they start to realize that memories are not enough. They can replay your smile, your laugh, your voice in their mind, but none of it will ever compare to the reality of your presence. This realization cuts deeper than loss itself because it teaches them the most painful lesson: you cannot replace what you never valued. They may search, they may try to fill the void, but nothing aligns with the authenticity you brought. Your absence teaches through contrast, reminding them that what they thought was ordinary was in fact extraordinary, and now it cannot be recaptured. And so the conclusion is simple yet profound. Walking away is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of theirs. It is the beginning of their reckoning, their reflection, their realization of what they failed to see when it mattered most. But for you, it is the doorway to freedom, to peace, to a life where your strength and value no longer go unnoticed. Your absence may break them, but it builds you, and in that balance lies the undeniable truth. Sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself is to walk away, and in doing so, you finally reveal just how powerful your presence always was. Thank you for being here, for opening your heart, and for allowing yourself to take in this message. This was more than just words. It was a reminder of the power you carry, the value of your presence, and the undeniable truth that your life leaves an imprint on everyone it touches. I appreciate the time you've given, the energy you've shared, and the willingness to reflect on something so deeply meaningful. As we close, I want you to remember this: your presence is not small. It's not something that can be overlooked or replaced. It has weight, it has power, and it changes lives in ways that are often only realized when it's gone. That should never be a source of doubt. It should be a source of strength. Hold on to it, own it, live it. Walking away, choosing yourself, and honoring your worth are not signs of weakness. They are proof of courage. They are acts of strength that shape the path forward and open doors to the life you deserve. So as you leave here today, carry with you the certainty that your story matters and that every step you take is a statement of your strength. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for listening, for showing up, and for being present in this moment. I hope you carry this message with you into every choice, every relationship, and every chapter ahead. Goodbye for now, and may you always remember, your absence speaks, your presence transforms, and your worth is unshakable. Stay true, stay strong, and never forget who you are.